The glass
Today is September 20th. This is episode 35, Talk Story.
Welcome, Bradley.
Thank you, Christian. We just did our intros.
I know. Look at that. Didn't even do it the formal way of
I
saying
know. It's kind of going to freak me out for the rest of the
Bradley Wells. I'm not Bradley Wells.
No, I'm Bradley Wells. You are.
I'm Christian de la Iglesia from First Surf Shop.
Yeah, and this guy.
Shawn, Kouri.
There we go.
Shawn,
are you
at? We are
right.
at First Surf Shop here in Miami Beach, Florida.
South Beach.
South Beach. That's right.
South Beach.
South Beach, its own part of Miami Beach.
It is
It really
its
is.
own thing.
It's not like any other part of the beach.
How long you been open, Chris?
Oh, thank you for asking. This guy is
rolling
good.
right into weekly apps.
This guy is good.
Yeah, seriously.
Good. You can come back. We're coming into our 10th year, October 1st.
Wow.
We'll make 10 years. 8 years in this location, 10 years overall. We got some festivities lined up. We'll be letting people know more about that. Apparently it's been getting leaked. I've been leaking it.
Wow.
Don't know where that leak's coming from.
Just check last week's episode
right.
for previous leaks.
So we'll dive deeper into that as we get closer to.
But there
that.
will be festivities.
There will be festivities. There'll be more than one day of festivities.
You know what actually this reminds me of? This is like a millennial girl's birthday week, month, where they just got to like do the whole thing. Like, no, it's not enough to have a birthday party. It's like, this is my birthday month.
Dude, I picked up on that from the millennials, and I like it. I will take it, and I'm like, and there's those people that are just
They're
like,
not wrong.
There's those people that like don't celebrate their birthday, like Scott from Island Water Sports, just doesn't want people to know about his birthday.
I love
all
it.
this other
I
stuff,
could have guessed that I was like that.
He's just like,
but
no, I don't want
secretly,
the
he
fuss-
probably wants somebody to fucking.
Oh yeah, like it's like total hot chick.
If you told-
for me,
Right.
you had this whole surprise party. I don't like my
He's
birthday.
totally playing hot chick. Like,
If you told
I really
him he'd
don't-
be celebrating for a month, he'd be totally down.
Right,
That's how
easy.
it goes,
Like
yeah.
if you set it all up for a month and like every week there was a like
He's in.
everybody was taking him out to a different birthday dinner and stuff like that. You really didn't have to do that. You really blows out the candles. You know,
It's like, this is only the 13th time I've done this week.
I don't. You really should have.
Lunch and dinner, you guys are too much.
Right.
Sunday brunch though?
But it's true, and I'm on the opposite. I'm like telling people, I'm like, it's my birthday next week. We're gonna have a good old time. Like,
So,
I enjoy
with the
that.
shop,
Enjoy letting people
10
know.
years of the shop,
Yep,
you can
so-
only imagine.
Yeah, so 10 years of the shop, we got a lot of stories. I'm hoping that, and during that week, I think we should do a little talk story where we kind of the episode will be specifically on
This
the
is when he
story.
gives ideas that he hasn't told any of us
I know.
to the
So-
public.
Right.
Go ahead.
So I think that we should definitely set up talk story that week based on the surf shop and the 10 years that we've been here, and invite people to come in and maybe kind of just have, instead of just one guest, we have everyone kind of be a guest. And we just create the hot seat and we just let people kind of come in and share a story that they might have had with us for the last 10 years, something that they remember.
That's a
whether
great idea.
that
That's a
reminds
great
them
idea.
about of what.
Notice it reminds me of like the what was that, the booth that they used to have
Yes.
on the Real World.
Right, and that's kind of where I was going. That's kind of what I was thinking with
Yeah.
the same thing.
It's
It's kind of like that truth booth, you know.
True story.
Do you guys,
So it's
you
just
guys
that
remember
kind of-
when they did Real World Miami?
Uh-huh.
How long
Yes.
ago was that? It was like
That
about
was 2000-ish.
Was it?
yeah. I was on like a 5-second
Really?
clip
You're
of
on
that.
a little smidge of that?
Yeah, skimboarding. I had a big fucking beard like this coming out here, a big goatee.
Yes.
Yeah. They like came up. We didn't know they were filming, but they came up to us afterward. Like, we got cutaway scenes of you guys. Will you sign here, please? And
No way.
That was like my 15 seconds of fame.
There you go.
That-
Yeah, I had a
Real
small
World
little
Miami
segment
was
clip
a
like that
big
with the
deal.
Kardashian show.
Nice.
Of on a paddleboard over off of Mariska Park, paddling and as a segue from one scene to the next. They were
You might want to get like a mental test because every guy that hangs out with them seems to have some issues shortly thereafter.
Oh, I have issues.
Yeah, but those were precluding this event.
Oh, right. They never asked me to sign anything. Then he couldn't even see me. Right?
It was actually a
only I
delusion.
knew was me. I was just like, hey, those are my board shorts. Wait a minute, that's me.
No way. Really? You're just like in the background. That's awesome.
I wasn't watching the show. It just happened to be on. Somebody else was watching it. I just happened to catch it. I was like, oh, sure enough, look at that. Rewind.
Right.
Rewind.
Yeah. Everybody see this? Hey, do you see me on the show?
There's gonna be a rerun next week, you guys.
Yeah. Taking pictures and
pretty
sending it to
awesome.
people all left and right. But, that's me. And so, yeah, we'll have 10 years.
Nice.
10 years coming into it. And it's had its moments. It's been a challenge. But it's
It's a community shop.
It's been amazing.
It's the only place I can buy wax.
Right, it's
You know?
true, and
Even if you don't have base coat.
and they're really,
That's a pet peeve.
the typical storefront, has such a hard time surviving nowadays with certain, behavior, shopping patterns and behaviors of people.
Yeah.
And just the climate of the
Brad
city.
is probably one of the best examples of that. Doesn't even go shopping for food. Has it all kind of shipped over to his house online and stuff like that.
do.
Don't you? I mean, you get all your
Instacart.
Publix and Instacart and everything else kind of just delivered to you. So and
I don't
it's
have a car. I
convenience.
use Uber.
Right. Listen, it's a
All
new
of my
world.
files
You guys
are
should do that with the
Right.
boards. Like they'll call from the beach, like, "Hey,
Right.
can you deliver me the
I
board,
know.
please? I'd like
Yes.
this longboard here. The waves are kicking."
I've had that, and then I'm just
Keegan, bring out the 6'6",
Yeah. Right.
as well as pumping.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need base coat, tropical wax,
So
and a
that's how
new
I feel
leash.
like we have a little crowd control out there. We're like, if you really want to go surfing, come get the board.
Yeah,
Like, guess what? There's a
exactly.
little more physical activity that's going to go on in the water as well. So come get the board. Stop being so lazy.
For an extra $15, I'll bring the board.
There is that too. So
You can check out my Instagram at.
call me
I
up.
wanna make
I'll
some
pick up
money from this
You're
whole
right.
thing.
You'd be like the full-on Postmates of surfboards.
I think it's not a bad idea for
impressive.
South Beach. But congratulations, coming into 10
Yep.
years. It's
Nice.
awesome. And I think you guys are well deserving of, you should do 10 days of partying for the 10-day thing.
Nice.
Brother.
Noted.
Yeah.
Noted.
It's an idea.
Noted. My liver might hit
And
you
I think
after
the
10
movie
days.
night is a.
Yes.
That's an idea
Yeah,
that would work.
I
man.
definitely have
Really
always
good.
wanted to do
Yeah.
movie nights, and I think it really is just a matter of having it set up so that it's just easy to do. Like, God, I'd love to be able to have a section of the shop that we had, like, love seat, couch, little kind of like lounge area where
sure.
you have the screen already kind of up and the projector already set, so that all you have to do is like
They got these
pull
mini
it down.
projectors.
know.
I almost
Yeah.
bought one on Amazon the other day. They're,
Oh, Ami has one. It was pretty sick. We've used it before. It's pretty epic.
they're trying to sell
Yeah.
me one.
So
a
you're
million
right.
times.
There's all it takes is a little effort, and I think we can, and a couple dollars.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
So
That's gonna be cool. So
we
look
got
forward
some
to
fun
that.
things Going on.
Awesome.
What else we got going on this week, Brad? Oh, yes, there it is. I don't know if anyone's seen it,
Here we go.
and apparently, hopefully, we can go ahead and boost their followership. But
Great,
there
that's what I need.
is- There is, what was the name of the company again? Because I'm totally missing out on.
All right,
this.
so-
It was, Bradley had a photo shoot earlier in the week. with
It wasn't a
one-
photo shoot. It was Alex
gotta own
Montero
that.
snapped some pictures, as he always does, of the beach and what's going on.
Definitely
I happened to be
post.
exiting the water.
These were not candid.
It was.
Hot
I wish. Actually, yeah, I might be able to get a modeling gig if I did. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know how to
Nice.
do that on demand. So
Every
if
time.
All right.
You just need to
Doesn't
take
matter
me.
what
You
mood
just
he's
need to
in,
take
he's
me
just-
surfing.
Can we see the hair flip?
I found it. I found it. So if you go to
pretty much all I got.
Instagram and you go to hot_surfers_daily, you will find as their latest post when Bradley Frank
Well,
Wells.
if it's daily, how many days have been since?
Well,
they have
Yeah, they're
slacking on
slipping.
the daily,
right, you're right.
That's
or maybe they're just
So-
letting it roll.
So you have one Bradley Frank Wells that is on there as the flavor of the day 2 days ago. And so
putting
how
it-
do you feel? I mean,
I'm
do
putting it
you
on my
feel-
LinkedIn. I'm gonna start charging my clients more money. Yeah, you guys.
I mean, do
You
you,
didn't know that was gonna happen, when you signed up for consulting services.
do you feel exploited a little bit? I mean, how do you feel? Are you?
I think it's
you
hysterical.
flattered?
It is flattering. It is definitely flattering.
How,
I think it's
how's
hysterical.
the responses been?
The responses have been mostly from my friends roasting.
Right. That is a roasting moment for sure.
My mom
Like
thinks
I almost roasted you on Montero's.
you should. I mean,
whatever.
it's
I was like,
absolute-
I'm gonna, I'm
It
just
is
gonna
roast-
let it-
roast-worthy
live in it,
material.
Live in it.
roast-worthy material.
And then I saw it on that, and I'm like, no need to roast. It's getting roasted on its own.
Yeah,
Nothing but guys answering.
It's true.
You're hot.
Thanks, Bob. Love you too, buddy.
And mom.
So, right.
And
Mom, mom
Mom,
enjoyed
thank
it.
you.
Oh, Bradley, you're so cute.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. If you want to go ahead and get a good
Montero
laugh,
knows how to take a good photo.
How many
underscore
friends has
daily
mom
underscore
shown that to
surfers.
already? Right?
Oh, that's
this is-
a
This is
no.
my
Yeah.
son. You're right. To
Proud mom.
friends' daughters and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. My colleagues
my
have
son.
turned
Yeah.
that picture into memes immediately for work purposes. Oh yeah, it's going around inside the company. It's great.
I could just see it in the hair flip part or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, I'm selling software now with that photo.
Nice.
It's pretty impressive. Nice work, Emily.
Thank
Cool.
you, Alex Montero.
Yeah.
If you want to see some good quality shots, definitely follow him at Many Beaches on Instagram.
I will
He's
say,
got
all right, I'll say this though.
He's got some great.
Right.
It's a good picture.
Yeah.
Aside the
That's the whole
cracking and
thing.
stuff
Is
like
like,
that.
look,
It's a good
people
picture.
take that as like this whole like.
Dude,
I'm
I'd be
on the-
stoked. I mean, like,
it's a
you know?
good picture because he's good at doing that. He's got this really.
He found the knack, man.
Right.
He's
He
got
was
this
like meant
weird-
to do this.
Right.
Yeah,
I
it's
agree.
really. He's got
Yeah,
this
it's only
weird
been a
touch
year.
with the camera.
He just kind of picked it up and he something pulled him towards that
Yep.
direction, gravitated. He was inspired by a couple friends of his that
Mm-hmm.
that have been photographers, and he's like, let me just check it out.
He has a
and he's
good
been really
way about
humble
it.
Yeah.
about the whole thing since the day one, like really appreciating the craft and learning. Like some people get like really big and they're like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And
No,
don't wanna
he's
hear
got
what
an
other
eye
people
for
have
it,
to say.
man. He's got
open.
an eye. Yeah,
He's open.
definitely.
And it's not just like the eye so much. It's he's really good in interacting with people.
Yep.
Like, so half the time he takes these pictures, I don't see him,
Right.
And then when I do see him, he somehow like disarms you to the point where you're just like, all right, fine, like,
Right.
whatever,
And then you're
whatever you're
undercover.
doing,
Yeah.
like I
Hot
can't stop you
surfer
from
doing.
hitting the trigger on that camera. So like, I'm just gonna
So I'm
go
just
back
gonna
to
pose.
I'm gonna go back to doing whatever I was doing.
Like taking all this water out of my hair for the third time.
Did you get it that time? Fourth time?
Yeah.
I know the light's low. Fifth time? Sixth time?
Hold on.
My neck's getting tired. I'm not getting paid nearly enough. $0 for this.
So Brad is a part-time model, and we may not be able to see him because he'll be getting booked on gigs now, apparently. So
All right, so here's something kind of funny about that.
shut up. You
No.
did not. Somebody come
No,
out.
no.
Oh,
Jovan got, no, Brandon got that modeling gig that one time.
Right.
Right?
That's right. Through
So-
here. Was it through here? I don't know. Through.
Yeah, he was here, sitting here, and someone
Right.
like came in to like ask for sunblock,
That's
and they were like,
right.
"Hey, wait,
They were doing the Coca-Cola commercial. I think, or
like,
something
can
like
you just take your shirt off and stand there for a little while?"
Nice.
that. 20 years in the biz, no one asked me that. I mean, I get it. I see what my shirt look like with my shirt off. I get it.
All right, so
Come on, ask me. Jeez.
it's a whole thing
Make me
now,
feel
though.
better.
Dave Wan from Unsound up in New York, he's a model. Someone was just like, "Yo, that whole thing with you just doing what you do there, like, yeah, we'll buy that." And he's like, "Oh, I didn't know that was like a thing that I could do."
Ryan Heavyside up at Nomad Surf Shop.
Same thing, right?
Kills it as a model. As in
What's
Ralph
his-
Lauren and stuff like that, and like campaign ads, and just kills it. I mean, he's a dapper looking guy, He's,
But I
so
just feel
is
like,
that, I'm kind of out of my realm here. I mean, a surf shop owner,
there's
do you have
a-
to be a model as well? Like, it's so much pressure right now. Like,
So
I
I
thought I
look-
just had to keep the lights on.
I look
Now
at
gotta
it-
look good. Jeez.
come on, you know how to put the whole outfits together
I try.
here.
Yeah.
You got the whole look going.
That's what I got the mustache for.
See,
Exactly.
It takes away
Yeah.
from it's a diversion.
but it's part of the whole
Caleb,
thing.
you know what I'm talking
I know.
about.
But it's all,
Yes,
but
it
it's a
does
whole
it.
thing.
It's a whole thing.
It's a whole
Right,
thing.
It's a whole kit. Don't look anywhere else.
Yeah,
in that
actually,
particular-
speaking of the whole kit,
Stick to the
Caleb and I
stash.
were
Right,
talking
just keep an eye
next Surf Expo. We're gonna go up there and we're gonna talk about this whole kit and pitch.
What, the Surf Expo kit?
Yeah, we're gonna pitch the people on what we can do for their brands. I think we can do it.
Where you'll be modeling shorts.
Yes.
And
Yeah, like
Various other clothing.
These
And I'll-
three guys.
And I'll be modeling like hair product or something,
Right.
mustache
There you
product,
go.
wax.
Mustache wax.
Right.
That's
There you go.
fine. I mean, I grew up
And,
out
and,
of
and Caleb will be promoting like flights to Norway.
Wait, there was that Scandinavian apparel, but we need to talk to them.
That's good.
I'll wear flannel shirts
you're
for
a
money.
full stand-in.
Yes.
You are like
Not
you
even
guys-
for money. I'll wear them because it's cold.
Right. You guys want to do a surf shot? Because I got you.
All right, so other weekly happenings.
I believe this Saturday, the BSR Cable Park in Waco, Texas
Uh-huh.
is holding Stab Magazine's Stab High Surf Contest, which is pretty much just an aerial performance of some of the top aerialists in the world at that new wave pool that people
So
have been
nice.
kind
this
of,
whole
getting
thing
nuts.
is like I think a big shift in surfing. For me, it's really awesome to see
The
it
fact that they're
happening.
having a contest specific on just like one move, so to speak, like the one move wonder.
I mean, on many different levels, I think this is really interesting. Like there's like this weird dynamic that we've talked about in previous episodes about like wave pools. You've got Kelly's wave pool, which is supposed to be like invite only certain people get a chance to go. If you want to go surf it, you got to pay some like extremely exorbitant amount of money, yada, yada, yada. The BSR park is like, we got a lazy river. You can bring your own beers.
Right.
We rent coolers for $4.50.
Right. They got slides.
We got
they
a super
things.
slide, and you can chill on the beach with
Right.
like a tent or whatever.
Right.
And you're like,
Wow,
"What?"
that's crazy.
It's like a whole other spectrum.
Right. I guess you have to come at it from an investor's perspective and an ROI or return on your investment for those that don't know that.
In the biz.
Just in case.
Dropping knowledge, just
And,
throw it out there for the
and
kids.
because there's exactly that. Like you got to offer a little bit more to get people to go ahead and do other than just the wave park and stuff like that.
Right,
Be able
yeah.
to kind of
Yeah.
have things turn over a little bit. So,
Right, so they are actually the biggest cable park in the country.
wow.
Yeah, for wakeboarding and stuff like that. So it's huge for that whole scene.
Well, I mean, the benefit for them out in Waco is that they have a lot of land out there that nobody's doing anything
Big time.
with.
Yeah, yeah.
So so there's no.
They do a lot of stuff with the land out there in Texas.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you got pasture land, you got ag land, you got land with tumbleweed on it, you got
I stand
oil land.
I stand corrected. They are not doing anything out there.
I mean,
Well, nothing. Okay, within as a surfer as well. I mean, okay, you know
yeah,
what?
from a surfer's perspective, I'll give you that. For most of Texas.
As a developer, they have it real easy to be able to do things because they don't have people saying, "No, you can't do that."
Stand up for Texas there a little bit. I don't know why. Sorry.
I know.
You're right. Keep moving.
Deep in the heart of Texas. But past that, yeah. So the competition's this Saturday. I totally spaced on looking at what time.
Yeah, I don't know
was
either.
at. But the thing that they have there that I just found out today that it's been an interesting point of topic is that they'll be charging
Pay-per-view.
to watch it. They'll be
Wild.
charging to watch it, which is different because typically for all the surf contests that we got to see, it's free. You kind of just chime in
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And most have figured that viewership or the amount of viewership would constitute on the the
Sponsorships,
ad dollars and sponsorships that you're able to get out of it, so it allows to be free. So from what I was reading, it looks like Stab had dropped a good $500,000 on the whole process between prize purse and flying everybody out, from commentators to surfers to everything else, as well as putting them up, and it's not cheap,
Yeah.
and they're looking to kind of just squeeze a couple dollars out of it and see. I'm guessing for me it's like it's got to be some sort of gauge to see if there's an interest out there for the masses to be able to pay for something like that, because some of the examples that they had was like, hey, as Kelly had put it, there's a couple UFC fights out there that are free, and there's UFC fights out there that are pay-per-view for some of
That's
the
right.
top talent and stuff.
Right.
And the people that are really into it will pay for it to watch it because they really
100%.
appreciate the sport.
Sure.
And that's a way of supporting the sport in that sense and allowing for that to continue. Granted, you
However-
do stuff like that, you're not going to get advertising in it, so you get to watch it all the way straight through. So there is
No, that's not true. They'll probably still have advertising in it.
I think they have they'll keep it in-house and advertise.
I mean, that's what cable used to be, right? Why do you get cable? Oh gosh, this is like really old school kind of stuff.
Is
but
this
like,
the cable where you press the button, stuff
Yeah,
like that, on the
yeah.
actual model?
Yeah, so cable used to be there was no
For the young kids.
commercials, so that's why you watch cable. That's what you paid for, and then commercials crept into cable too. So there's gonna be like TV timeouts and all that.
Well,
kind of stuff
their
during
TV
this.
timeouts that they had pegged were going to be highlights of other stab
Really?
videos that they did and stuff like that to promote
Interesting.
some of the videos they've done and go back into that. So that was kind of what I read in regards
hadn't
to
read
what
that.
their
That's cool.
timeout advertising is going to be. So,
Interesting. So
what
they-
are your thoughts? I mean, as
So
far
I'm
as that
guessing
they have
that
to,
they didn't sell any advertising.
probably not.
That-
But
I also think that so from like a branding perspective, you have kind of like a branding leader, which has been the Surf Ranch, Kelly Slater, now WSL Pool. They've been kind of going out and doing everything first,
right.
and then WSL, right after they did the first contest, the Wave Park, BSR, sorry, did another like whole campaign
Right.
at almost the same exact time.
Right. It was during the Founders Cup.
Right, during the Founders Cup. And I sent the marketing people all that I could find messages from the BSR Cable Park, and I was like, you guys, that
Killing
was
it. It was
impressive.
brilliant.
That was a really good move. I'm really happy to see you guys doing this. and it has been like this, like there's these people doing this and we're doing this, and this sort of pay for view, it doesn't fit in that model so much. I understand, like, you want to prove that there's a model here for business purposes, yada yada yada. I think if they had like a little bit more investment into it, and they said like, yo, we're gonna do this free to the people, let's find the money elsewhere, that it's gonna like
So you're not
launch.
digging it. You're not digging it.
No,
I mean, because I'll say
I
that
think
my
it's
initial reaction was
strategically
just like
bad
on
move.
exactly that. They were brilliant all the way up until this point and really kind of hyped the place up, and then all of a sudden it was like to find out that like, oh, you're hyping up for this contest, sweet, you're putting all these people together, and you're like, oh, but you got to pay. And granted, $10, it's really not a lot. I mean, you know,
I wouldn't doubt that
$8.99
this is.
to get it
How do you
now.
think it's going to end up when they come to Florida?
No, what I think is gonna happen with this one actually. Before that, I think that they'll probably wind up saying, "Forget it, it's free."
before it even starts, because they won't have enough people that are pre-watching or
This actually, it's really
pre-booking it.
Have you guys ever seen the documentary on Woodstock? It's a good
Which one?
Yeah.
The
Original
the
one.
double VHS. Caleb's like, I saw what that was on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Keegan's like, I don't even know what that is.
What's VHS stand for? It's- no,
you're gonna ask me all these
no, it
acronyms?
wasn't. I'm saying Keegan would be like, what's...
Yeah, so
Anyways.
in that they have the guys that organize that whole event, and somewhere kind of very early on in like the crisis of what became like that
With
whole
the amount
event,
of people coming in.
Yeah.
they
'Cause there was no
really early
pre-buying
on
back
they
then, was
go, it's free. You know, like we can't get on the radio and say everyone is free, but we are not collecting tickets. It's a security issue.
Right, I was
Yeah,
just going to
it
say,
was
I don't
turning
think they
into
had the
chaos. Yeah, it
ability
was
to be
turning
able to
It
go ahead
was
and
way
control.
better, and like we're not going to be able to make the money back. It's a loss. Like, let's just have a good time and not have anyone die. Which turned out to be like the most massive cultural event, you know, maybe of recent
all time.
memory.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
100%.
You know? And so I think Stab kind of had the opportunity to do something along those lines, and maybe they do again, which is just like, you guys went against the grain. You're doing a surf thing that's unlike what anything. It's like going punk rock and then being like, yeah, but it's $32 the door and half that goes to Ticketmaster. You're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
That's not very
You know,
punk
like
at all.
you totally had me going with the chain wallet and like the
Right.
shit kickers, and then you charge me $32, 16 of which goes to Ticketmaster. What are you, crazy? You blew it. You know, it's like it's off brand. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
That being said, I don't disagree with the idea that they should make a buck from it. It's cool as hell that they're doing it. Just like every punk band, like if they're touring, they got to make money. You got to pay the admission to go see it.
Sure.
But the model works a little different these days, it seems, and so this goes against that. So I don't know. I mean, I'll probably pay the money.
You know what? If
What
you,
about
if, you,
the
if you'll
idea,
chip in
though-
$5, I'll chip in $5. We'll play it here. We can just kind of watch it here. It's a Saturday. It's a Saturday.
Yeah, but-
Swing by.
But
Shop.
oh wait, there's also one more thing, and then I was about to segue into forecast and report.
Sure.
Kiss by God.
Yes.
It's out on iTunes.
That Andy Irons film.
Yeah. And this
It is out on
is
iTunes.
I've had like a resurgence of kind of like memories about that thing, and some other people contacting me, and like, holy cow, that is a powerful movie.
Supposed to be heavy.
Oh,
I haven't
I saw
seen it
it.
yet.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you gotta check it out.
It'll
Yeah,
move
yeah.
you for sure.
Like people are watching it now and sending me like comments, and I'm like, oh god, I'm like the middle of my workday. I can't handle like this level of. No, this is too deep for right now.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy. It was an intense movie, and
It's
Yeah,
it's
my-
great though because it brings to light, I think, what people can be going through, even if they look like everything's going great and everything's going like.
The human side of what's behind the scenes,
right,
which
and,
is
and
great to
aside
see.
that,
It's great
it's
to see.
also the the problem that happens with stardom. You know that you have so many yes people around you. Yeah, people that are just catering to whatever it is that you want, and that's dangerous. We shouldn't get everything we just want out of wanting and stuff like that, because
Right.
there's some things that you just shouldn't have, or that you should work a little bit harder to, or just shouldn't have. And you know, same thing happened with Michael Jackson and you know, and prescription drugs and a bunch of famous artists and stuff like that.
And
that
a lot of
have-
those people that are that way also have like these psychological underlying issues
Right.
that kind of supposes all these things
Right.
that happen. So it's like, oh man,
Right.
this guy had no chance. Like, what human could possibly withstand all that? You know, like knowing what you know, hindsight.
Right.
Looking at that movie, you're like, the poor guy. You know, like he
Right.
was.
But he would be
crying
in
for
but
that
at the same
situation.
time, he was in a position that he knew, and he just didn't want to be. He didn't want to deal with those, so he kind of found other ways of dealing with it, and that's kind of how people dealt with him. Was just like, well, we'd rather him be happy, Andy, and if that means just allowing him to kind of do the things that he was doing,
Right.
that's no bueno for him. Then it is what you know. Hey, he's a grown
Well, think
man.
of all the people that are on the gravy train, right?
Right.
They don't want the train to stop.
And
so
that's-
they're
and
not
that's one of the
that's true,
biggest
too.
things.
they're not
as
going to
well,
pull
is
him to the
everybody-
side and go, dude, what
Right.
the fuck are you doing?
Right.
I mean, they're not going to do that.
No.
They're just
I
going to
talk
let
about
it.
it's like
happen.
all the rails are greased, and everyone is
Unfortunately.
incentivized to do the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that happens like a lot in economic situations. You look at like the mortgage crisis and stuff. It's like everyone's incentivized to do the wrong thing.
Yeah.
In this case, I don't think they're like incentivized to do the wrong thing. They're just ill prepared to handle the realities of the situations that they're being dealt with.
Right. No one's got the clinical background to
No.
go and handle that. They're just.
And even just the money. Like look at what happened to Clay Marzo and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Was it Clay Marzo?
Yeah,
Got
I
what?
think so.
They got robbed of like all his like he made all this money and then was just being robbed by his bookkeeper the whole
Really?
time.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was like this just god awful situation. You're just like this poor kid, you know, like he's doing his hardest just like keep his shit together
Right.
to maintain like a normal semblance of what we would consider like
Right.
a
And,
life.
and for those that don't know, Clay Marzo is on the autism
Yep.
spectrum, and so you know but it's what's made him such a talented surfer.
Right.
You know,
we all have our gifts,
right.
you know, and we
Right.
all have our deficiencies.
Right.
It just so happens that, you know, like doing bookkeeping wasn't like a high on his like list of I do this stuff good.
And I can second that motion. It's not on my.
No, it's
like,
boring and most people hate it, you know? And so
loathe it.
unfortunately, like people get kind of thrown into situations sometimes that plays to their strengths and deficiencies in shitty ways.
Yeah.
And I think Kiss by God is one of those movies that just shows it on like a very human, like it's not a surfing movie.
No,
Which is
but
good.
But it's
Which is good.
Right,
That's good.
Right.
You know, so the
It-
community sees this side
Right.
of
Right.
of the other side of the reality. You know.
I tell
Yeah.
you this though,
Yeah.
I walked into that theater and I saw all these guys that are all like the guys that go surfing. Whoa, what's up, bro, 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 bro? And then like in the first minute and a half,
They're crying.
Everyone's like,
Dude,
like can't even like
right
hold
off the
their
bat.
stuff together.
Right off the bat, they start with. Oh, I just got chicken
Yes.
skin talking about
Yeah,
it. It was
it's
like right off
incredible.
the bat, they have Bruce Irons, his brother, goes, "I'm Bruce Irons," and then all of a sudden he just starts to break down, and I'm getting chat.
Yeah,
Like,
I know, you
I was like,
can't-
all of a sudden, I was just like, "Oh God, this is gonna be one of those, huh?"
It
I
was
can't handle it.
so
It was heavy, and then everything from his son Axel at the end, and
Yeah.
there was a picture of Andy over at Sunset, I think elementary school. They had a big like little mural on there, and just at the end, his son coming up and just touching it. I was just like,
Wow, heavy.
I was like, not to give too much away.
I
but
mean,
it
that's
was
just nothing. That's
it
just
was-
like
right.
little
That's like the small
vignettes
little
that they
snippets
give
and
in the
stuff like
beginning
that.
and the end, just to like kind of reflect on.
If you get a
everything that
chance,
happens.
definitely check it out on iTunes. It's one to definitely watch, and it really opens your eyes on not just some of the darker sides of surfing that that's been like
just
that for a little
life.
while, but as well as life, and it's applicable to just about anything.
And I think just like having more compassion for
Right.
people that may be going through these things that you
Yeah.
don't
Right.
see.
Right.
You know, you just like you look at a guy like Andy Irons, and you're like, yo, world champion. Guy is balls to the wall, will surf
Yeah.
anything, so courageous. And then you watch this
Sometimes
movie.
you forget he's a human being.
Right.
Yeah.
He's a
He's
human
just a human
being.
And then you
being,
watch
huh?
him like
Yeah.
in bed
Yeah.
on a bender, you know.
And what'll
you're
be
like,
good is
"Whoa."
how many other people in the community are now willing to like come forward and go, "Hey, man, I think I need to talk to
Right,
somebody
and,
about
and
this."
I think that was
you
one of
know?
the bigger highlighted points of that, and we had talked about that right after that show, as well as when Anthony Bourdain had passed away, because it was talking about the mental health side of things. So it was the things, whether it's depression, whether things life's just fucking tough, and sometimes it just gets you in a vice grip, and it's hard to kind of find a way out, and not everyone's open to talking to people, not everyone's as easy to go ahead and just release that, and that builds up in you, And I think it's upon all of us to be able to create an atmosphere that makes it a little bit easier and open for others to be like, you know what, that looks like somebody I could relate to. That looks like somebody I can open with. And all it takes is a smile. Sometimes just a pat on the back or like a hug.
That's it.
Like a hug, like this, like that connection, that energy that you share with someone is so primal and so next level that words don't even describe it, and that's what you want. You want to give someone the kind of hug where they're like, wow, that just transferred some serious energy, and I kind of feel a little bit better.
100%.
I might be open
100%.
to talking to you now. I've had that with people where like you just give them a hug and all of a sudden they're just like lay it all out. And you're
Well,
like,
since
wow.
we're being open and honest, I gotta pee. Can I pee on the podcast?
Well,
Or
don't
what?
pee on the broadcast.
I
but
prefer you didn't pee on the
Fantastic. Be right back.
You can take a bathroom break. Oh, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will not follow the stab model of advertising, and we will go ahead and cut to a short commercial. Start dancing and stuff like that.
I was gonna say-
that's what we need to do. We gotta get sock puppets. We gotta just like all of a sudden like a little commercial break and, and just kind of just like.
You got-
And just create little sock puppets and be like, yeah, it'd be like a little side
Not
show.
the first time we've
Little-
talked about this, by the way.
Really?
And-
Dude, sock,
are
so-
you kidding?
Yeah,
On the
you know
show?
we did. I think we did.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was the swim week episode.
yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, and they had taken it to the next level. We had a whole new podcast based on sock buckets. It was
I mean, it's been kind of fun though. I mean, like, think about it. Be able to have your own sock puppet, like your own sock puppet.
And you could right now. With
So then you can
socks.
talk to yourself without looking crazy.
Well, you always look crazy, but as long as, well, you know, there is that whole dialogue thing. I guess it kind of makes it a little nutty. But yeah,
Hey, so that competition starts at 12:30 Central Time.
Oh,
Central
nice.
Time says
Which is-
2:30 our time, I believe.
Central's only an hour off. That'd be 1:30 our
1:30.
time.
Stand correct.
And you're gonna play it in here?
Yeah, I think you got round
Come by
one
the
for
shop.
free.
Huh?
Round
Oh.
one, right? Round one for free, and then you pay for the subsequent
Oh,
rounds.
there you go.
$8.99 if you buy it now. What'd you say? It goes up day of.
The day of. All right, so.
If you're listening to this, there's a solid chance it's already over. But if you're listening to this before Saturday,
If
come
you're
by the
ca-
shop. It'll probably be on the
If
screen.
you're catching this live.
Let's
You
get into the
guys
report and
over there.
forecast. I think we can just jump right into the report and
jump
forecast.
right into the report. And forecast.
Report.
You know, those things just look good. I was
Sound like you just like fixed the shower
they were hiding
curtain.
behind Bradley. I was just like, those things look good. I feel like other people see 'em.
Report this week. Oh, there's been no
Last
waves down here this week.
Weekend, since the last time we recorded, there was
Oh, yeah.
waves.
Yeah, I just forgot that it
But
was
not here.
Thursday, and then I've been working really hard all week, and
Yeah, and aside
I
that,
didn't surf at all.
I
Blacked it out.
I surfed none of it.
Oh wait, so we're
I
gonna
literally surfed
recap.
none of it.
No, we already recapped the fact that
Yeah.
you did not surf any
Yeah.
of that swell last
Nope.
week with Billy.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, what
We're
happened?
like rehashing old bad memories.
No, this is an
Man.
interesting thing about owning a surf shop that I've realized.
Surf less.
You surf less.
Yeah, yeah,
It is like the crappiest paradox.
yeah. 100%. I can relate, actually.
Right.
Yeah,
Ugh.
I can relate.
So
I used to surf a hell of a lot more when I was actually sitting in the lifeguard tower. And now that I'm a lieutenant and I'm stuck in the truck, I can't even tell you the last time I
Right,
surfed.
because you can go and switch things off with the guy sitting in
Yeah.
the tower, like, oh, someone come cover me, I'm gonna go surf. Blah,
Yeah,
blah, blah, come
exactly.
back.
Yeah,
And
it's
technically,
crazy.
that's kind of part of your. Don't you guys get certain times set aside? Just
We do, yeah.
specifically
Mhm,
for.
mhm.
All right, we're gonna tap into all of that relatively soon.
This
Bradley,
is the
bring us-
report and forecast.
Let's get some forecasting going.
So report has been pretty much crappy and flat
I was
this
gonna
week.
say that report and forecast looks empty right there.
Oh, it's always like that every week.
it's empty because that's what we're expecting.
No, that's not what we're expecting. Forecast is looking good for Up Coast. Really Saturday through maybe the next 5 days after.
What do we attribute to this to?
Oh, so you remember our friend Florence?
Yes,
Wasn't so kind to us down here. Definitely not so kind to the folks in Carolinas.
definitely not.
And coming back out of the ocean.
What?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that's what's happening.
She's not dead?
No, I mean, weather never dies. It just keeps moving around and changing.
Yeah,
That's a
little-
quote.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
That's a quotable.
Weather
I'm
never
gonna
like
mark
that one.
that in the
Yeah,
timeline.
weather never
right there.
Emily,
Mark that down.
Emily, I'm starting
Trademark,
another book,
trademark.
and you're gonna have to start keeping track of these quotes. I'm writing a business book.
Weather never dies. It
I gotta
just
start writing a surf forecasting
moves
and
on.
weather book,
Nice.
maybe.
We'll have to go back and listen.
Yeah, I can't remember.
It's all right. I marked it.
The forecast is good because of that stuff. Florence came back out and is going to go up to the North Atlantic and send back a northeast swell. It's kind of typical this time of year. What you see a lot is like a hurricane that comes up with really tropical characteristics and then will somehow get dragged up into the Northeast Atlantic, or North Atlantic really, and bomb out. You know, it's like a lot of warm tropical moisture hitting what's like the beginning of the winter, kind of
Right.
cold, dry stuff, and that's
So does it start to recirculate again? Does it start
Yeah,
to build?
it
It circulate.
bombs out. So like the storms that you get in the North Atlantic are like almost like tropical storm or hurricane
Right.
force
Victory at
all
sea.
winter long. I mean, it's insane sea conditions up there pretty much all year, or at least all winter. And so when you get like a tropical system that was somewhat strong to go up into conditions that are favorable for like a winter kind of storm, which is gets during the transition periods like we're getting into now. Yeah, you got the chalk, and so here we go.
There we go.
We're getting
How far up do we have to go? We're
not
saying Treasure Coast North.
Yeah, this one didn't even come into the Palm Beaches. It's got a good amount of north in it. I don't know how much strength it's gonna have when it finally shows up on the buoys, but
Well, Sunday looks like I'm on the road.
yeah.
Try to catch
Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, maybe a little further depending on what happens.
But you got a modeling gig, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
That's what it is. He's gotta go up. He's
Dude,
got a model. He's gotta
if it
surf,
pays,
surf
I'll give you
model.
20%. I got an agent now.
What about locally? We got anything kind of to expect?
Mostly, I mean, there's like a little tiny bit of wind. It's supposed to be blowing at like 10 knots or something, and so that's like really barely.
What about the tropics? What are those things looking like?
There's still a lot of like little areas of interest. Nothing looking like as strong as it was like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago when we were watching everything come off Africa. But like our friend Chicky from deba.com says, you got to watch the end of cold fronts this time of year. This is the time of year where you watch something come down from Canada, causing some cooler weather up in the northern states. And as it comes down the coast, you'll see something kind of where it stalls, spin off, maybe get some sort of tropical-like activity with it. So that's
Have you guys done
cool.
any surfing in the Bahama chains? Any of the outer islands?
I've surfed Abaco.
Whoa. That's a rule that we can talk about.
It's an island.
Yeah, that's an island. It's okay to talk about, but I don't want to get any further.
No spots.
I don't like to talk
He
about
makes me bleep them out.
spots. There's a lot of resources out there that name
So
all
we'll
the spots.
talk about that after the podcast.
You can talk
Just
about, like,
us.
generally stuff.
I got you.
Generally,
I
like
got
if you want to talk about going to a country or a region, a city, a county, that stuff's okay.
Like we don't surf South Beach. We surf Miami Beach.
I post every day from Miami Beach. There's waves today. Go find them. I mean, you got 3 miles of coastline. If you can't figure it out, I
You know,
mean,
Bradley's a purist. He likes to go ahead and keep the hunt and the age of exploration.
it's not
still
even
going.
like the purest side. It's I kind of
Just
do.
wanna get his ass kicked. Is that what it is?
Well, there's-
When people are like, locals,
it's
like, what are you doing?
It's partially
Oh,
that.
my
It's
place.
partially out of respect for people that call like that spot their home spot or whatever. But it's also because I know that, like from the last episode, car surfing helps. You find spots that no one else surfs, and it's going off on that day. And if you log that in your memory bank to say these conditions are happening on this day, and you go back next time you see those conditions, you might have some new spot that nobody knows about.
Yep.
So
Go search for yourself.
Yeah, go look around.
Yeah,
Bradley,
go
in-
search for
in
yourself.
one
That's the most
form or
fun
another, is
part.
helping you build your surf knowledge. And,
Sort of.
and that surf memory bank to kind of, it's got to you got to pass torches. You got to pass the
Yep.
knowledge along.
Yep.
And, so, and even the at least the process.
Yep.
So you know,
For the new guys.
Right.
it's fun.
Get in your
Right.
car, go drive around, get skunked
Right,
like
don't-
all of us
right,
have done.
right. Don't
You should have
fish-
been on the
don't-
last episode. No one was on my side.
Don't fish for people. Show them how to fish.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if they wanted to call it catching, they would have called it catching.
Right. They call it fishing.
Fishing.
Well, that's interesting. Before we move on to anything else, I wanted to go back into one of the weekly haps. Because I was just
Rewind.
I was just over at Division in Wynwood, and I saw Dave Lavernia.
Oh, yeah. What's he doing there?
Beautiful artwork right there behind us. He was meeting up with me because he's looking to probably do a little. Well, I probably won't say. You know what? Because it might.
Oh, I know what's happening here. You're about to like tell more stuff than you're supposed to about really happening.
I just totally stopped myself. That was impressive. But you were talking about an art project to do together during Basel, and so that's going to be pretty cool when we put that together. But aside that, he's doing some artwork over at the Surfing Museum up in Palm Beach. Remember he told us about it?
Yeah.
And he wanted to see if maybe we do our podcast out of there next weekend.
Oh, that'd be cool.
On Saturday. And so that we might do our show, if you guys are open to it, on Saturday up there.
I love this. This is like a new way of like Chris passing ideas that we're not so sure.
We'll just decide on the show what we're doing next week.
This is good.
There's a lot more excitement involved.
This is
like,
good.
You get raw, emotions out of the whole thing. You're like, oh, is he putting me on the...
This is like when you're in a couple and you're like, honey, we're gonna go to the Joneses barbecue next weekend, right? Joneses, you love when we come there. You're just like, shit, and you're gonna make the thing that you always make, right, Shawn? You love it, and
I guess so.
Sure, babe.
Sounds good.
Sure, babe.
Sure, babe. So we just had a sure, babe moment there.
There you go. So, there is that. Dave's got to confirm that it's going to happen next Saturday, but our podcast might be coming out of Palm Beach.
Nice.
And at the Surfing Museum up there.
I want to check the place out, actually.
Seems like that would be pretty cool. All right, please continue with your show.
Anything else?
Where we go? All right, we're out of here.
Remember you guys were like, give me that new car? Just talk about that real quick.
All right, let's roll into our topics. We got Shawn here.
Yeah.
Shawn has lived on Miami Beach for the last 40 years.
He's been in Miami 40 years.
Miami Beach.
The beach 40 years?
Born in Canada, living in Miami for the last 40 years.
There it is.
To be specific, 44 years.
There we go. That's pretty decent.
Been lifeguarding for the last 20 years here on Miami Beach.
Here on Miami Beach lifeguard, you are a lieutenant now.
I am a lieutenant, yes.
How long have you been a LT?
Going on my 4th year.
Nice. Congratulations.
That's awesome.
You like it?
I love it. I'm out of the sun. I'm in the truck.
Right.
I don't have to do rescues anymore unless it gets really nasty.
Well, let me just say something about this. Lifeguarding in Miami Beach is no easy task.
No.
All right. What you guys do is nothing short of heroic.
Yeah.
I want to say it right there, like on the record, because I watch you guys, what you do all day long.
Thank you.
And it is, it's insanity. I can't imagine a place that could be any harder to deal with than a place like Miami Beach.
A lot of people might not know, but statistically, because we have to log all this stuff, we actually lead the nation in number of rescues.
Wow. I do not doubt it. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Here. Yeah, it's incredible.
That's amazing. That's pretty impressive.
Yep.
And even just in the concentration of how much people there are between 5th Street and 15th Street, which is the main area of Miami Beach that everyone kind of goes to, the touristy area, like. You've seen weekends of Memorial Day and Labor Day, or just holiday weekends, or even during the summer on any given day, or on the weekends especially. Like, it's hard to even see through or maneuver through people on the sand.
Yeah.
And then you go ahead and see that go into the water, because obviously the water is mellow in the summer and whatnot.
Or add like a little tropical storm offshore with a 15-mile-per-hour east-southeast wind swell with just enough rip to get everyone off the sandbar.
Anything out of the east over 10 miles an hour is a nightmare.
Right.
That's a nightmare for lifeguards.
Yeah, it's insane.
Would you guys say that you've had a good amount of help with, because there's always that, within the city, like, for example, kiteboarding and stuff like that. The city's kind of restricted where their accesses are at, but then kiteboarders would be like, well, we're another eyes and pair of hands and rescue help out in the water to kind of help. I know that surfers, you've had it yourself, and I've had instances myself of helping people in rips and whatnot.
100%.
So are you big fans of?
The locals are a tremendous help to the lifeguards. Well, I mean,
How do we help you? Like, how do we help you better? Because sometimes I
you
feel
guys
like we don't know
help
what
us
to
spot
do.
rescues. I mean, because there's so many people in the water on Miami Beach. You guys know. I mean,
Right.
there's thousands of people in the water on any given day. We can't see everything. That's just the reality. And you guys help us spot things. You guys help us rescue people on boards. Just pointing something out to us that we can't see because there's just
Right.
too many people. I mean. Yeah, I just can't say enough about the locals. I mean, we get a tremendous amount of help and support.
Yeah, I know as a surf shop owner, and we do rentals out of here, both paddleboards and surfboards and whatnot. And I know when there's days of surfing, I know that myself and the team here let people know where to go, where not to go. Obviously it's like, all right, well, if you're a newbie, wherever you see a lot of people surfing, don't go there.
Don't go there.
Go
Exactly.
somewhere else,
Yeah.
and kind of give them some rules of the road, so
I'm
to
a
speak. But at the
big
same-
advocate of separating people.
Right.
I mean, if people are surfing, I want the swimmers away from
Right.
them.
Right.
And
And
surfers get the priority as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
That's the way I think
Right.
it should be.
And in
100%.
Miami Beach, we have an ordinance here in
Yeah.
regards to surfing. Hypothetically, anywhere north of 5th Street, 3rd Street to 5th Street, north of there is technically not allowed to do any water activity of any
Right.
as far as water sports.
And south of there, that's our area.
Right. So technically, south of 5th, and that happens to be where the best surf is given more designation to surfers and people that are using non-motorized watercrafts
Yep.
to be able to kind of do it there. So I know as a business, like even with paddleboards, for example, even when there's just a little bit of wave and there's a lot of people, I would rather not rent boards. And I tell them all the time, like, listen, lifeguards are my buddies.
Yeah.
I don't want to make their job
I just want to say
harder.
one thing on that one point about South Beach being designated that one zone. It's been so ingrained for so long that at some point I thought there's this program where they have historic, culturally significant surf zones. And there's been this program where different beaches around the world have been designated as such. It would be pretty cool because it's
That
been
would be
that
cool. Yeah.
for that long,
Right.
Yeah.
And for good reason. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a hell of a wave, and
Yeah.
people
I'm
have been
not even
surfing
sure
here.
what's on the official Miami Beach books at this
There's
point,
just
to be
the
honest with
ordinance
you.
that they originally
Yeah.
created in the 60s, that they updated in the 90s.
Which is when the
that-
pier used to be there.
Right.
They had
It goes all
something
the
with
way
the
through.
pier.
Right.
Yeah, we're
So-
talking more than 35 years ago.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
like
Right.
50
yeah,
years
it-
ago.
Well,
Yeah.
the pier went down in the 80s.
But the
Yeah.
ordinance has been on
Right,
since
right,
the 60s.
since the 60s, and then they updated it in the 90s and stuff
Mhm.
like that. And they don't really enforce it as much because I know a good few years ago the city had tried to ban all types of water sports from surfing to kite surfing to paddleboarding north of 5th Street, and man, did they get 200 people showing up to City
Yeah,
Hall
thank
at the
God.
next
Yeah, yeah.
at the next meeting and stuff, and all of a sudden they just let the city have it, and the
I was
the
there,
mayor
yeah.
and the commissioner, so was I, and the commissioners were all like, our bad.
Well,
We didn't realize
Yeah.
there were that many of you out
Yeah.
there.
Well, I went to those
Yeah,
internal
there
meetings because
is.
I met with Mac and it was the mayor and the city
Matty
commissioner and all those folks at that time because they, basically the way our city works and a lot of municipalities works is there's a squeaky wheel, it gets some grease.
Yeah.
So there was a squeaky wheel due to some sort of
Miami
issue,
Beach.
whatever the heck it was. I can't recall. Something
And-
happened.
and-
It could have been some grandma was walking her dog and
It-
tripped over
how it
something, and it was
goes.
It was
a
similar to
bar
that.
wax.
It was
It's something silly.
It was an older
usually.
person, and what it was is that at the time there was a lot of kite surfers that were. They go out when it's before the guards are there and after the guards are there, and they're just cruising along the shoreline. But their east winds, their kite is easily
Yep.
hanging out at least a good 5 meters off onto the shoreline and whatnot, and and it's laying low, especially if there's a decent
Well,
wind.
how do you guys feel about separating the activities? What's your take on that?
Oh
stuff?
man, is a one that's
Load-
crazy for me.
Loaded. Is it
Yeah,
loaded?
it's so loaded.
I'm in favor of it because I think and more so because I think naturally our Miami Beach has different areas that kind of bode well for the different sports that we have out
100%
there.
agree, yeah.
There are wider parts of the beach here in Miami
Yep.
Beach that would allow, and emptier, that would allow for, let's say, kite surfers to be able to go ahead and set up without having to stress. And with parking that's close by, and allows for them to kind of do their sport.
Yeah.
I know that a lot of kiters like to go ahead and surf on the inside for the most part, But I think more than anything else, if you're on a twin tip and you're kind of like looking to just go ahead and get some air and get some speed, there should be a channel that puts you outside of where the vessel marker zone is and you can go out there and do what you have to do and come back in there. I think there's got to be a little bit of regulations, because when there's not any sort of guidance, then it's a free-for-all. And the kiters have done a really good job in the past of regulating themselves, so that anybody that was coming in that they didn't recognize or whatnot, they'd ask them questions whether or not they were ICAO certified or what level they were and whatnot. And granted, the ICAO certification is one that is measured for a lot of kiters, but it's not necessarily a governing body that can hold any sort of accountability.
Right.
It just lets people know what sort of skill level that you're at. But then again, to get a boat in Florida, you don't have to have a license either. I mean, if you're older, if you're of like our age and older, you can go ahead and have no boat experience, buy a 60-foot boat.
It's crazy.
They'll give you the keys and they're like, have a good time. We put gas in there for you. Yeah. And you're like, this is a freaking floating torpedo. And I have no you're just
absolutely
like, seriously?
America.
America. It's serious. You're just like, oh, okay, I guess that's cool.
Stop by the Fort Lauderdale gun show on the way to the boat show.
Right. So, but we see that with the crap that goes on out in the bays and the waters as guards. You guys have a boat and have to deal with a bunch of those things and rescue.
This is my whole thing. This is why I think the regulation doesn't work. And I think on top of that,
enforcement is the problem.
Well, I just think it's a non-issue to begin with. I think a lot of times people start making up a whole bunch of rules and whatever because, again, squeaky wheel. It's like some lady decided that she got frightened by a kite. And it's like, all right, really, what's the circumstances? It's like, oh, I had too many coffees that day. I didn't sleep.
Which is a literal case, by the way. That's how the tower at 26th Street on the beach got implemented. Lady was scared because a kite got too close to her. She happened to be connected in the city.
But that's the what
now
ends up
there's a
happening
tower
is
there, and there's all kind of regulation.
To reference back onto because there's nothing on the books. There's no sort of guidance. Right. But at the end of the day, it's like, are we supposed to wait till something bad happens and then figure it out?
That was very politically smooth the way that all happened. Actually, I give them a lot of political kudos credits for the way they handled that because they're like, non-issue. Put a tower there. Now you're not allowed to do it. Problem solved. That's it.
Right.
It's like,
but the problem wasn't solved. They just kind of
Yeah, it's just like in office
still
space.
up in the air.
So we stopped sending him his checks.
We don't know the regulation.
So it'll work
like,
itself out. It's like,
yeah.
no, the guy thought he's an employee, and you stopped sending him his checks. He's gonna get mad at some point.
The problem is with this city is like if you don't have some sort of guidance where there's some sort of accountability that you're be able to kind of hold people to, then the city doesn't just work with people. They just cut things off altogether.
Yeah.
So it's one of those where it's like, all right, well, we've got to take it upon ourselves to create common sense regulations or so that
good luck.
that's why I joined the Marine Board for the city was so that I could be a common sense voice of someone that actually does this and grew up here and sees this so that we can go ahead and make those common sense decisions versus that person that's never done it that just looks at it and be like, well, that person shouldn't do that. Boom, done, you're gone. And the problem is once it's already decided, it's so much harder to get that pulled back.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's for such a long time we haven't had anything. So part of me is just like, well, we should probably start moving in the direction of creating a very basic guideline for certain sports in regards to how they do that. As far as kiting and stuff like that.
No. I'm like full on like libertarian for this point of this conversation. No
Why?
rules.
What do you think? What do you think?
All right, so I come from New York.
Enough said.
In New York, during the
thanks for our president.
during the time of year. I can't take credit for that. If you look at the way the beaches are set up, we have town beaches, at least in Long Island. You have like town and city beaches, which put a parking lot up in front of them, which means you can't access them unless you pay for parking.
Okay.
Right? So you can't just go to the beach for free. You have to pay to go to the beach, which in Florida doesn't exist.
Right.
Pretty much everywhere in New York, that's more or less the case. You have to pay somehow to get on, and New Jersey as well. New Jersey, you buy a little tag. It's like a little button, and you're supposed to show it to the attendant that has a gate to get onto the sand.
Okay.
Once you're on the sand, there's no such thing as the ocean. It is the boogie boarding ocean, the swimming ocean, the surfing ocean, the ocean you're not allowed to touch with your feet because the lifeguards will whistle at you because that ocean is like lava. You're not allowed to touch it. And what happens is you have days where you get like, whatever, say it's like June. And in New York, still cold front's coming through. You got a solid wind swell. It'll be chest high. The wind just went offshore. It's chest high and offshore. And the water's like, 60 degrees if you're lucky. Maybe the air's 80, And you're like, oh, I want to go surfing right there. Look at that peak. It's perfect. You're not allowed. Mm-hmm. No one is swimming. It's like Wednesday afternoon.
Right.
And no one's going to even if you got into the water, they'd be like, up to your knees only. And you're like, oh, that peak is firing. I want to go surf that. And if you even go near the water, they're going to whistle you out. You can go down the beach and surf that crappy sandbar where they designated that's the surfing beach 35 years ago, and that's the only one you're allowed to surf on during the it's like blackball in California. And it's
that's what
bizarre.
opened up to those soft top boards from Catch Surf and whatnot to come around, because they created the Beater 54 specifically for that, where it was
even
like
in New York,
these were boards that were boogie board
you're not allowed
material.
to even boogie where you're allowed to swim. Everything is segregated.
Right.
It's super bizarre, and it creates all kinds of weirdness where you're like standing there, like literally waiting for the lifeguard to leave the tower so you can go into the ocean. In the evenings, you're like, okay, the high tide is coinciding with that one spot that we like to surf, but they don't get off until 6. And the weirdest thing is that it's only between Memorial Day and Labor Day.
Wow.
And sometimes
That's the summer.
because that's the summer.
business.
That's what they call summer. It's not actually summer, but that's what they call summer. And it's
That water's too
sometimes
cold.
they'll extend it a little bit, into September, or they'll man the booth during the weekdays when it's super warm out. I've had full-on arguments with the guys at those booths. Where are you the rest of the winter? We protect the beach the whole year. You guys come in and tax it and tell us where we can be for 3 months. It's bizarre. And we know how to sort ourselves out the rest of the 9 months of the year. You guys aren't even here. There's no gate, there's no booth, there's no hot cocoa, there's no showers, there's no bathroom, there's no nothing, and it works itself out. And when I came to Florida, I noticed that for the most part, that's the way it is. I was shocked.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, you can swim and surf and boogie board, and you don't have to have flags and let you know where to do it and signs, and you can all just do this together. And for the most part, it kind of just works itself out, and I like that part of it.
Right,
Because the moment you
there's that
put
argument
regulations
there's
on
that
it,
argument
you
where
can't
it's
do
just
cool stuff that you want to do.
Do you try to be
I agree
proactive
with Bradley.
and preemptive on it to go ahead
Rarely do
and say, in order to make sure that the powers that be that would make this decision, that would make this decision, that maybe aren't as equipped to make this decision, we should probably try to create something to appease that in advance.
So, yes.
Versus, because certain places, and I know Miami Beach is very much like this, that if something bad were to happen, and knock on wood, we've been pretty fortunate, then all they do is pretty much just ban shit. They don't
Right.
They don't
That's
like.
right,
There's no
yeah.
middle.
No.
Let's work with our local community to go ahead and figure out what's
No,
the
no.
best to do this. So that for me is an inherent fear, where it's just
That's why I'm don't touch anything.
They
don't
look at it
talk
like a
about
lawyer. They look at it like a lawyer looks at it.
Right. Well, of course. I mean, there's liabilities.
That's why I
involved.
don't
mean,
even
this
want
is-
it on the agenda.
Keep the government out of it entirely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am in the ocean. You have nothing to say here. Now, I have thought, and sorry to throw you under the bus here, but if I was to have anybody do any of the regulating, it's the ocean lifeguards. I don't want the mayor telling me what to do when there's a hurricane. I want this guy telling me what to do when there's a hurricane.
Yeah. Agreed.
But it's not going to happen because I don't want them to be liable. I don't want to ever have Shawn oh, that's his neck on the line. He let me go surfing
Right.
because the hurricane was coming through. It was offshore and pumping 8 foot.
Right. But then I had to get rescued.
I lost my board and get sucked out to sea, and then
Coast
you know,
Guard has to
Sure,
Coast Guard has to go
but the
get me.
lifeguards should be professional enough to know. We're trained to know the hazards, right? And who is capable of what just by looking at the individual. So we should be able to
In
determine.
Hawaii, that works.
We see how that guy's paddling. He's got his board across his chest this way, and he's kicking. It's not paddling. Get that guy out of here.
Right.
That guy can't surf.
Right.
You know.
Right, but I don't.
But the other guy.
I don't want to
know.
give you that responsibility, and I definitely don't want.
Do you guys
your
take that kind of
employer-
responsibility on yourselves? I mean, do you
Personally,
guys?
I mean, we-
personally
yeah.
they probably do, and if you fucked it up, you probably wouldn't sleep well. But I don't want your job depending on it. I
Gotcha.
think that's
Yeah.
not that's not fair.
Gotcha.
You know,
Yeah.
I would love it if like there was anybody to make a call, it's you I want making it. But I don't want to give you the
Did you
responsibility.
guys hear about that crazy thing? I think it was like 6 months ago that the Hawaii guards went through. They were
Yeah.
going through like a court battle that
Yeah, with the-
they were putting the responsibility of somebody drowning. I
On
forget
the
how the
lifeguard.
story
It was a
went,
weird
but
thing.
it was like on the lifeguard. So if somebody drowned, it was their fault, but it could have been. Have you guys ever been to Hawaii?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know how like you can go to a beach and you look around, you're like, wow,
There's no guard.
that wave can kill me. Where are the lifeguards? There's no lifeguards, right? But there might be one a mile down there,
Yeah.
right? So really odd how that would work out. I didn't really understand the whole thing. It was
Yeah, they've been
very
having
strange.
the Hawaiians have been having some challenges over there
Mm-hmm.
with the government, nonetheless, and just how things are kind of going here and there.
Mm.
It's a very weird kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Very strange. Yeah.
But every area has its own challenges and unique dynamics.
Mm.
You know, we being such a tourist-driven town have for you guys a lot to have to worry about. I mean, you have 88 blocks from South Point all the way to 88th Street
Yep,
to
pretty
have
much.
to oversee, and there's like a bunch of empty areas like your 53rd Street areas and whatnot, and 55th that's got those little areas of blankness and
Yep.
that I know can sometimes be challenging as if you were just kind of going out there and float and whatnot. So you guys have a hard job. It's not easy for sure. Like it's mentally taxing, I'm sure. And you guys are sitting in that box.
And emotionally taxing.
You guys are sitting in that box for like 10, 12 hours a day, 12-hour
10
shifts.
hours, yeah.
10, 12 hours. So that's hard, you know.
And that's just like on an easy day when you're sitting there, like if it's like raining in March and no one's at the beach.
Oh, those are the best days.
Right, that's
Yeah.
great. You know, you're just like watching
Yeah.
tarpon kind of rolling and whatever. Oh, that was a flying fish. Crazy. I haven't seen one of those in 6 months.
Right.
Whatever. But it's like the crazy weekends when it's like 300,000 people, literally 300,000 people coming into the beach, just like south of Fifth.
It's got to create such anxiety. A little bit.
does.
I mean, I does it still, like
It
being such a
does.
veteran and kind of doing this for a long time?
Well,
when those days come into it,
I'll put it this way: I feel the young guys' pain.
Right.
You know, I mean, I know what it's like to have that responsibility and be watching, things that you can't see, and there's too many people, and just the chaos of it all. But with experience, you you get used to the scene and you know what to look for. That's the big one, is just knowing what to look for.
right?
There's an Elon Musk quote about something about being an entrepreneur. It's related though. He says something like, "There's a lot of pain in chewing glass while you're doing this. The pain goes away, but the chewing glass never stops."
Right. Yeah.
Right. I
You
feel
know,
like I've
it's
read
just-
that before with other entrepreneurs.
It's just like that's how it is. Like there's a grind to it, and like as you get more experience, you're like, yeah, that thing that used to hurt me doesn't hurt me anymore, but I still got to do it.
Right. 100%.
That's crazy. So, being as a guard, I'm sure you guys have to deal with a couple different major challenges that come up here and there. I know that we had one a couple years ago with a really close friend of ours that you happen to be one of the lead guards
Yep.
that kind of reacted to it. Our
Tony Bird.
close friend of ours, Tony.
Yeah, this is the emotional
Tony-
part of it that I talk about.
Tony Bird had passed away about 2 years ago while he was out surfing. And I guess you were LT on duty. You heard it come over the radio.
Yeah.
As a, what were you heard it as a
That was a
drowning?
tough one.
Yeah, so what happens in these situations at all? I have no idea what happens on the lifeguard side of situations. I see rescues happen, but more like just sitting on the beach.
Yeah.
So, this is a
So-
friend of ours that got in trouble in some way or another,
With
right?
that case, I was in a different zone when the call came off. So I only heard it on the radio. So I was actually serving as backup.
So how does the call come off? What does that mean?
So the call came off that they were pulling somebody out of the water. That's how it came off. Unconscious victim. We're pulling him out of the water right now. So we just beelined it. Even though I was in a different zone, I was like in the zone right next to where this happened. So I got there within 30 seconds. I was like right on scene as they were pulling who I didn't realize at the moment was Tony, right? So I'm just in rescue mode. So to me, it's just a call that we have to react to.
Right.
And so I'm just in rescue mode. So I'm tunnel vision.
Right.
And I get there as the initial guards are pulling him kind of away from the shoreline, right? So one of the guards drops down and he's doing his initial checks and he's checking for a pulse and everything else, and he busts right into CPR. And so I just kind of got down and I start doing CPR with him. And, you know, it's kind of weird because as I'm just in, like I said, I'm kind of tunnel vision and in rescue mode,
Right.
and I'm doing
Instincts are just
CPR.
kicking in, you're doing what you
Just
have to do.
instincts kicking in, exactly. And I'm doing compressions and kind of like, in the background, I'm hearing somebody going, "Come on, Bird! Come on, Tony!" And it like takes me a minute, and I'm like, it kind of registered. I'm like, "What? Wait, Tony, Bird? What the fuck?" And then it connects, and I actually look into the face of the person that I'm pumping his chest, and I'm like, "Holy fuck! It's fucking Tony Bird!" I mean, you know, it kind of shocked me for a moment, right? But I mean, you can't stop what you're doing. Right, so I just, like, I'm going harder at that point. I'm like, I gotta fucking save Tony Bird. Like, this is on me. I gotta do this, you know? And so I just keep going, and we got him back for a moment. We were talking about that before. We got him back for like a brief second, which was great. And then, you know, he just went out again, and we couldn't get him back after that. It was...
You know, and,
It was so surreal as it was going on. I mean, because first time ever, I've done CPR 11 times now in 20 years. Tony was my 11th CPR, and like, you know, it was just so surreal that you're doing CPR on somebody that you actually know. That was like, it was mind blowing. You know.
And honestly, you guys, so much for him. You guys, I mean, and being there that day as well here at the shop as it happened, and you know, listening to the whole story from the moment that happened, and you guys helped him to the point that he got to the hospital. It seemed like everybody really just did as much as they possibly could.
Yeah.
To kind of make that process happen. I can't imagine how difficult that might have been, especially knowing somebody that you're working on them, and such a beloved
when,
guy as he is. Like, so many people love him, and
I know.
he was a real icon.
Unreal. I remember when you ran out to the beach. I don't know if you remember this, but like when we were loading Tony into the fire rescue truck, and they kind of continued what they were doing there. Like, I intercepted you. You were running out, and I was like, dude, you gotta like call his wife. And you were like, I'm doing everything. I called everybody already. They're on their way. And God, it was such a
it was weird.
Weird moment, you know.
You know, just having the ambulance there, and then, you know, just seeing the whole process, and, you know, you guys, you know, have to, you know, from lifeguards to even EMTs and a lot of just people that work in that whole rescue field and stuff like that. There's so much heaviness that you guys have to deal with, and my hat tips off to you guys. And it's gotta. What do you do to decompress for moments like that? Like, I mean, you know, I'm certain, especially because it's someone that you care about, you've known for a little while. Like, it's got to hit home pretty hard.
It does. It does.
And then I'm granted, and I have friends that are, you know, EMTs, and, you know, and they've gone to stuff and they've seen some gnarly things out there, and like, what do you do to let that go? Like, I can't imagine, like, stuff like that. Like, you can't unsee things.
No.
You know?
I think, like, really what it boils down to is you have to put it in your head that this is the professional job that you're doing, and you have to separate, like, you have to look at it like a total professional. Like, okay, this is a part of my job, Like, this is going to happen. I just got to get over it. If this is what I'm going to do, I'm going to see this. I'm going to do this. There's going to be people. I mean, like I said, I've done CPR 11 times now. We brought back 3. I mean, that's not a lot, but
Right,
it's something.
Kudos to you,
know?
that in 20 years that you've only had to do 11 people. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Like it's not something that you'd be like,
No,
I want to
yeah.
have more under my belt.
Yeah,
you
these
know?
are not like
Yeah.
statistics
Like,
you want to talk
No,
about.
it
you know what
isn't.
I mean?
It isn't. And the
So
one thing, you know, I mean, just as a side note that I'm absolutely proud of as a professional lifeguard is those 11 have never been under my watch. It's always been ones that I've responded to.
Right.
So, like, I sleep well at night knowing that that none of these have happened while I'm watching the water. It's all been things that I've responded to, and that helps. You know what I mean? It
Whatever
helps.
it takes.
that-
I'm not even gonna
Yeah.
comment.
Right.
Yeah.
So
God, I can't imagine.
you do sports.
Yeah.
You surf.
I surf, I
and
skydive,
and
I
you
rock
skydive
climb.
and you rock climb, which is
Wait, I
I
pretty
like the
amazing.
adventure lifestyle.
Yeah,
How
so
do you
there's-
rock climb? There's no
a-
rocks in
you
Miami.
definitely-
I know, which
you've
is
definitely
kinda
got
ironic,
some
right?
adrenaline in you, or adrenaline junkie in you for the most part.
Or it's just
So-
a release, I guess.
right.
I don't know, I'm not
Like,
gonna
you know,
guess, but
what is it? Is it adrenaline? Is it release? I mean, is it what
Man,
drew
you know-
you to?
but they're
these
kind of
things
all individual
that
kind of
are-
sports.
They're all
as well.
individual sports, sure.
Right.
They're all.
How long have you been doing rock climbing? How long have you been doing?
So rock
skydiving?
climbing, I've
Yeah,
been
how did you get into
doing
that?
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, let's.
We're on a podcast, so you can tell all the
rewind a little
stories.
bit.
We got
So
time.
this is how I got into rock climbing. It's the one thing that I've been doing the longest. I've been climbing about 7 or 8 years now. And how I got into rock climbing was I was doing Muay Thai, and I was training for a
Naturally.
couple. Yeah.
Doesn't
I was
everyone?
training for a couple years under an international Muay Thai champion. This French guy is a fucking phenom. His name's Remy Bonnell. He lives here in Miami. So I was training under him. I was kind of his direct pupil. And I was training with him for about 2 years. And I ended up with 2 knee surgeries. Like, I blew out my knees.
Oh.
Because of Muay Thai?
Because of Muay Thai. Solely
Mental
because of
note,
Muay
don't
Thai.
do
Just
Muay Thai.
completely destroyed my knees, right?
Yeah,
So
make a note of that, kid.
Right. So anybody that's thinking about Muay Thai, that's something to think about. All right.
You got
We got
fans.
some guests
Anyway,
coming
we're saying
in.
hi to guests over here.
Fans, yeah, they heard the Muay Thai
Is that
part.
special
They're like,
guests?
"Oh, karate chop."
They're gonna come in and do some Muay Thai.
Some Muay Thai. Konnichiwa, everyone.
Welcome, welcome.
Welcome.
Hello, hello. So anyway, I was doing that for about 2 years. Had 2 knee surgeries. Completely blew out my knees. So while I'm recouping, I start watching videos of rock climbing. And I'm like, wow, this is fucking badass. Like,
Really?
I couldn't, but yeah,
No way.
100%. So I go to, like, I just fell in love with the
Like
aesthetics
rock
of
climbing
it
on a
all.
fake wall or rock climbing
No,
on
just
on a-
watching videos on
No,
YouTube.
just wondering.
Yeah.
It's possible, I
right.
guess.
Just
Yeah, yeah,
recouping and watching videos on YouTube, and I was like completely blown away. Like, wow, this is fucking awesome. Look at how beautiful this is,
Yeah.
right? And so,
It is.
you know,
Dangerous is the first word that comes in before beautiful.
okay,
For me.
yeah,
Yeah,
So-
Look how
it's like
dangerous that looks.
it's like free dive. It's like free diving to me.
yeah.
It's
I mean,
crazy.
just yeah.
No,
I
but
mean,
it
there's
is
all
beautiful.
kinds of.
It's phenomenal to watch these landscapes of where people are at. There's no rope. There's no net.
Oh, well,
There's-
sometimes
there's-
they have a rope. Most of the time they have a rope.
well, it's just,
Most
I
people
see-
aren't like free climbing capitan. That's
Right.
not like that's like the normal.
So I mean, it involves.
So no
a
way,
lot
so
of
you, so
upper
you're
body.
doing rehab and you're watching these
Yeah,
clips
yeah.
and you're
Just,
like,
I was rehabbing, watching videos.
so how did the
and,
guy from rehabbing in Miami watching videos get involved in climbing?
So I found out that there was a local gym down
Yeah.
in Homestead,
Uh-huh.
and when I got done recouping, I just started going there, and that's what hooked me.
It's in, like, a
And
warehouse,
I did
right?
and I did my first rock climbing trip after I learned how to climb a little bit.
No
and
way.
That's
So what is
it.
that
I
like?
got
I've climbed in a
hooked.
gym, but I've never climbed outside.
Oh, dude, I'll take you.
All
Why
right.
don't we just do it that way?
Envolé.
Yeah,
On
exactly.
rappel.
Yeah, but I love it, man.
do it.
I love it. Yeah,
It's
I
super
go like
cool.
3 or 4 times a year. We go on different trips.
Where do you
all
go?
around. I go everywhere in the U.S. Yeah, I've been to
Climbing
Yosemite. I've been
trips.
to Chattanooga. Is beautiful. It's just
Is
right
your wife,
there. a
if
couple
your
hours.
wife is your wife into rock
Yeah,
climbing as
yeah.
well?
My wife is into it as well. I got my climbing partner. You know.
Nice.
Yeah.
So apparently there's a really amazing climbing area in New York that
The Gunks.
The Gunks.
The Gunks. Mhm.
Super-
I haven't been yet, but yeah,
super
that's on the
close
tick
to
list.
where I grew up, and I just have a house up in the mountains, like super close to there too. Well, I grew up doing that stuff. I don't know what it was called, bouldering,
Okay.
but
Yep.
yeah, we used to do that stuff. Just me and my brother.
That's awesome, right?
How high can you get?
Yeah.
That's high. We should probably tie you to something.
Yeah.
You know, that was pretty much as high as we could go. It was so fun. Yeah. It's I could see how like lifeguarding and climbing are kind of
Just
connected.
kind of like an adventure sort of lifestyle. That's
But it's a
kind of what
weird thing.
drives
It's so nature involved and so like dependent on natural elements and the weather and.
So is that sort of excitement or adventure what led you to skydiving?
Yeah, so with the skydiving,
Yeah,
I
how did
did
that
my
happen?
first 3 jumps when I was 18, 19, and 20. So a long time ago.
Solo
More than-
or-
No, just tandems.
right.
Yeah, tandems. That's how you how you have to start.
Right.
And
I jumped once.
nice.
I've not done
Whenever
At
you're ready to
21.
go again, man.
Oof, I'm good.
Whenever you're ready.
This guy's ready for all kinds of
Yeah,
stuff.
I'm like, I was 21. I didn't have any responsibilities or anything else.
I
was
already
like, live
I
it up.
like stuff like that too much. I'm out.
Have you dived or no?
I'm
It was
out.
pretty awesome. Like it was cool. Like it was like, all right, you're going up in the plane
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. And actually, the plane was probably more scarier than diving. It's like duct tape holding things together. And you're
Yeah,
just-
that's like it's like the roller coaster on the way up. Click, click, click,
right,
click, click,
right.
click. It's
And,
way
you know,
scarier.
And then all of a
than
sudden you're in the air and you're just like, all right, we're ready to go. You're like,
Yeah.
and the doors open. It was like a little Cessna.
Uh-huh.
And you're just like, doors open. You're like,
Where'd you go? You went here in Miami?
yes, Homestead.
Homestead. That's where I jump out of.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and it was like,
That's
you go
my
up and then
home
you're like
drop
just,
zone.
and all of a sudden I'm like the first person, because it was my birthday. And you're kind of like, he's like, all right, put your foot right here. And it was outside on there's like a little ledge, a little step on right off the wing and stuff like that or something like that. And you're like, okay, and I'm attached to someone and you're like, I'm about to jump out of a plane. Like for a second, like you're just going through the motions. Like people are just telling you, like, all right,
It's
yeah,
sensory
it's-
overload.
Right.
That's
So you're
what it
just like you're
is.
going through it, and you're like, and then all of a sudden that one moment just hits you where you're just putting your foot outside, and it gets real.
Yeah.
It gets real, real
probably
quick.
like when the wind like comes
Right,
up your
right,
handcuff, you're
right.
like, oh god, okay.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you're just seeing like, oh, it looks really pretty from here. Oh, wait a minute, are we about to? He's like, here we go. You're like, and then you're like, just trust it. But he didn't just jump forward. He like jumped backwards and did a backflip and stuff like that.
Nice.
So all of a sudden I was like, oh, you know. And it's that moment of like all of a sudden like your stomach just goes to your throat
Oh,
real
man,
quick.
that's
But then it was all like all of a sudden it goes to your throat and all of a sudden you're weightless and you're like in a dream. Or like you're just like it feels like you're in a dream because all of a sudden it goes. You're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're just like there's just such
cushion.
peace.
It's like
and
a
this
cushion of
just
air and-
overcomes
yeah.
and you're just and then you're like I'm just gonna look around. And I'm gonna just take it all in. I'm looking around. The floor's getting quicker. Floor's getting closer. That floor's getting closer. Looking around. We're gonna pull this thing. We're gonna pull this thing. We're gonna pull this thing. And then they pull it. Blah blah blah. And you're just like
A
wow.
minute never seems so long, right?
Longest thing ever.
Really?
And it was pretty impressive. And then I got to see other people jump after me, and it was yeah. But I don't know if I could do it again.
Oh,
you
come
know,
on. We
it's-
got to do it again.
You know, it's one of those where you're like, you know, I don't know. Anyways, it's pretty impressive. So, how many jumps have you had?
I have 79 jumps as
Wow.
of Monday. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
so
so
you
I've been
just
in
jumped-
for 2 years. I've
you
been
just-
in it for 2 years.
You just
now.
jumped this past Monday.
Yeah.
Do you go often?
I do. I try and go, once or twice a week, actually. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Try and get in like 4 or 5 months.
79 jumps.
Yeah.
He does it often.
Yes. I mean, there's only 52 weeks in a year.
It's like, you skydive more than I surf.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Womp womp.
The sad realities of a
And in
South Florida
skydiving,
surfer.
that's not a lot of jumps.
Really?
I mean, these guys are pulling, oh my God, they're pulling 4 and 5 jumps
Yeah, and surfing.
a week.
That's not a lot of surfing days either. I feel you.
Wow. So what does it do for you now? Like now, I mean, I'm sure it gets to some point where it seems the same, or does it? I mean,
No.
or is every single time still?
Skydiving, no. No, you're nervous as all bloody hell every time you get up
All
there.
right, no. I
It's-
don't.
it's- yeah.
No. I think that has to end because I've watched enough base jumping stuff to know.
That's a whole nother level.
Yeah, right. But
Yeah.
just like everything, you do a little,
And you push it a little bit more.
Do a little bit more.
It's like jabbing the vein, right?
I
Just do a
like
little.
it.
I'm just gonna do a little on the weekends.
I like it a little bit too much now. Next thing you know, you're like jumping off of bridges and shit.
Well, that's how you start,
Running
right?
away from the
Like you
police.
start in the plane, and then you go to the
Have
bridge.
you base jumped?
No.
Something you want to do?
That's a build up, you know.
Right. Is that
Yeah.
something?
Yeah, that's a build up. Meaning that he's like, I'm in the basement. I'm working my way up.
Yeah.
Right.
He's got all
here's the
levels of
thing.
adrenaline junkie.
Does that happen with surfing? Did you guys though? Like, are you guys like, all right, knee-high South Beach sounds good.
Like
Mavericks-
starting with the
Mavericks,
longboard.
here I come.
Right. Yeah. It's like starting with the longboard, and then you drop down to the shorty, and then you want to get to.
I
and then,
think
you know,
it's more
the
like knee-high
transitions.
South Beach and Mavericks.
Yeah.
I think it's more like that comparison.
So is that something you want to work into? Like, basically, does that attract you at all?
Well,
or-
here's the thing. First of all, I'm a long time away from that kind of jumping.
Don't you have to
but-
like? Wasn't that like a? They used to like recommend like you gotta have like how many jumps?
Yeah,
before you
exactly.
base jump
That's
or
how it
something,
works.
Like
That's
200
how it
jumps
works.
or something.
You got to have 200 jumps before they even train you in the wingsuit. That's before they even train you, and that's out of a plane.
You should start just
right?
selling squirrel suits. No $200.
Yeah.
You should be like, yo, you can buy a squirrel suit. No checking. You don't check your ID. Nothing.
Squirrel?
I'm sure there's a black market for squirrel suits, right?
There's a
Right,
black market
yeah.
there.
I got one. Turns out I was at a furry convention. Like, damn it, wrong kind of squirrel suit.
It's like a David Crockett convention. You're like, God, well, I got a cool hat.
I look exactly like a squirrel. What is this weird tail flap?
Oh, that's good.
I
Well,
digress. Sorry.
Well,
Yeah, you
so
do.
we were able to tap on with Shawn, who's our guest this week. Life as a lifeguard.
Yes.
All the
So-
different things. I mean, aside, some of the heavier stuff you've seen.
Yeah, let's
on
go
the
into
beach,
light stuff like sharks.
or before we jump into that,
Oh, okay.
what was the surfing scene like for the last 20 years as a lifeguard? Like,
Man, that's-
I mean,
that's
has
changed.
fights gotten a lot less? Because it seems
That's
like
the
I know
first
when
thing
I
you
was
go
a
Fights and
kid.
surfing.
Yeah, because I remember as a kid growing up,
Actually,
you're like,
you don't see much fighting anymore.
At
man.
all.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's 'cause
you
it's
don't
called
see
lawsuits.
it anymore. Yeah.
nobody wants.
Yeah,
to jump in
probably.
those. like everyone's father or uncle's a lawyer.
Or
you
it could
know?
be that everybody thinks they're an MMA fighter now, so
Right.
nobody's like messing with one another. You know what I mean?
I've been giving myself cauliflower ear just for that purpose.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you guys won't fuck with me.
Grinding.
Like surfing in Hawaii, right? Like you don't want
Yeah.
don't mess with anybody in Hawaii. They're all like jujitsu guys.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why on the way to the islands, I punched myself in the face a couple times.
Exactly.
and
that's better.
You
Yeah.
can't get cauliflower.
Get it.
What's about your modeling career? Honestly,
Right.
What is Hot Surfers Daily gonna say?
I don't know. I can wind up on hot MMA fighters of the day.
Yeah.
There's got to be a page for that.
Or like cauliflower
Gotta be.
ear central. So it's like, look at this guy's ear. Let's make a salad out of it.
Yikes.
So the beach has changed, right? We the
100%.
localism side of things. I know that I've seen it change since I was a
Yeah.
kid and stuff like that. Back in the day when there were beefs and whatnot.
What is back in the day? Can we put some time frames on this?
It was a Thursday.
Okay. It's like 2:30. It was a fall 2:30 on Thursday. Sounds great.
Dane Cook has the best portion in the stand-up skit that he has. He's like, back in the day, it was a Thursday. And it just goes off into it stuff. Anyway, so back in the day, let's say the 90s, right? You were guarding in the 90s?
Yeah.
late 90s?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, this is when I got here.
Yeah.
Late 90s into 2000s.
Yeah. Mid '90s, I started. Mm-hmm.
I'm relevant. Back in the day. I was here.
Brad
back in the
came
day.
here
People
back
here
in the
back
day.
in that day.
How about that?
But I would say I haven't seen fighting on the beach, surfing related. All right, let's be specific.
Right.
Surfing related, more than 5 years. I haven't seen a surfing related fight.
Oh, you
I
missed the
think-
one last year.
I probably did. What happened?
I'm not going to talk about it now. It's a good friend. And the other person deserved it, so it happens.
Which is usually how it goes.
So, yeah, so the guy's being a jerk off. It's a jerk off to the wrong guy too many times. The guy calls him out on it. Little thing happens. And, follow your separate ways, whatever. The other guy wasn't so happy with the outcome, so he, whined about it and was like, call the police. The police came, and then they're like, yo, the guy that fought this guy needs to come to the beach. That guy's slowly paddling back home, going back to his house or whatever. And then he got onto the beach and clearly it was you. We know. So, and he's like, yeah, but this is the circumstances.
Self-defense.
This is like what's going on, really. And they're like, oh, all right, I'll sit right here reading all that stuff. And the other guy was like, they're like, yo, so you're an idiot. And then the guy's like, oh, so he told you I'm an idiot. And that was pretty much the way it ended.
I mean, and it seems
I'm
like
leaving out a lot of details there, but it was basically like you said. It's like someone was being a jerk off and got called on being a jerk
how it
off,
goes.
and then it's just like the shark. You know, it's like you chased a shark around, you try to put its selfie stick in its face, and it bit your cell phone. No shit, Sherlock.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you know.
Well, that kind of leads us into our next topic. More than anything else, as far as
Shark
sharks
fights.
go. Shark fights. Yes.
Sharknado.
Shark fights and Sharknado.
There's a Sharknado in South Beach. That's what we're saying.
I mean, we were talking earlier. And
Local sharks gone wild.
We have a buddy of ours that's all friends of ours, Jason McIntosh too. You know,
Great footage.
He does a bunch of drone footage, and he's caught in this last year a bunch of shots of sharks.
Gaggles of sharks.
A full gaggle of sharks locally, just right off the shoreline and whatnot.
Like
and we've
in 4 inches of water.
And we've seen them swim between people. And I've been telling people, you know, sharks, I'm like, dude, everyone's staying in their lane, so to speak, right? Most people aren't messing with sharks, and most sharks aren't messing with people. And it's clear as day that, you know, what's going on.
Well, no, this is what's not clear as day. So I've seen a couple of sharks out here over the years. I've been, like I said, since 2000. I took a small sabbatical, and then I came back. Never like this. Every once in a while, maybe. But this seems, and you know, I didn't have a
more sharks
large
than ever.
enough sample size to say it, and so I'm like, what do I know? You know, like I see more sharks today. I haven't been here for 50 years. I don't know. Maybe it's like a thing that happens every 30 years. The sharks come down for a convention. What do I know? You're saying, and you've been there, and you're a lifeguard, so you stare at the ocean all day.
It's more than usual, 100%.
Right. Yeah. So this is
Well,
no
over the
longer
last year, it's
anecdotal
been
As you
more
had
than
said,
usual.
we
This is
didn't have
empirical.
any shark bites for quite some time.
Long time. As far as I know, there's like confirmed. I mean, we have to be specific. Like confirmed shark attacks more than 50 years on Miami Beach.
during lifeguard times.
Right,
saying
exactly.
That it's
Yeah,
actually
exactly.
a shark.
Yeah. That
Somebody
we
else
know
may have
of,
had something that was a
confirmed,
glass that stepped
verified.
on,
You
who
know,
knows?
the whole 9 yards.
Right.
Like for sure, this is a shark bite. More than 50 years until about a month ago when we
of
had
which
that.
we were kind of just making fun of the person that was having a selfie stick and was like literally chasing a shark around in the water, trying to get the ultimate
Literally,
Instagram
like chasing
post.
chasing the shark around. You know,
and the shark turned around and bit him.
yeah,
And you know
Shocker.
what? He got an awesome selfie of that.
right. He did. Yeah.
He is
Yeah.
that is Instagram gold.
Look at this. It's stuck on me still.
So many likes. People like shark bites if you're the one posting them of yourself.
Right.
Look at me, I'm now being bitten by the shark I was chasing.
It's great.
But that's just
Honey, get this on live.
It's so dumb though. It's just like, and you know, and then there's like,
Stupid
there's sharks
humans,
out
man.
there. They'll bite you, and it's just, well, I mean, if you mess with anybody, right? Mess with anybody, it's gonna
Yeah.
punch you in the face.
Yeah, if like I was in the middle of eating stone crabs from Joe's and like you got up in there, like I might bite your hand.
I will bite
it
your
would
hand.
Yeah.
You will grab one of my
Especially
fried
at
crabs, I
Joe's.
will
And you
bite
know,
it.
it would
Oh,
actually
yeah.
be the
Those
fried
things are
chicken.
expensive.
It'll probably
Don't
be
mess with my Joe's.
It'll actually be the fried chicken
Bite
from
your
Joe's
ass.
because that's what I order. It's like
That's good
$6.95 and super good. But if you eat that and you put your hand anywhere near it, it's gonna get bitten. Total accident. It's not the shark's fault. It's
Right.
not my fault.
Right.
Here's the thing from a lifeguarding perspective, right? We got everybody on Miami Beach is worried about sharks, but what will actually kill you is rip currents. Like those
There you
will
go.
kill you, you know? The shark is not going to kill you.
That's
You know,
very
well,
true.
hopefully, knock on wood.
Yeah.
Right.
Seriously.
Anyway.
I mean, and most of
You're
the sharks aren't.
totally right
but
about
yeah,
this.
rip currents will kill you.
Right.
And they're out there all the time, you know?
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
GMCVB, there's your next tourism line. Don't worry about our sharks. The rip
Worry about
currents,
our rip currents.
our rip currents will kill you.
But
Or the
it's a lot similar.
traffic, just getting
Or
to the
the
beach,
traffic.
die in a car accident.
I mean, but it's a lot similar to what, you know, the misconceptions with what will hurt you or create the most damage during hurricanes. You know, most people think it's wind. But it's the water.
Flooding.
Yeah, it's the water.
For sure.
Rain and the flooding that goes on afterwards, and they're seeing it right now in Carolina.
Yeah, speaking
Like,
of
it's
which, that was some
crazy
weekly
up there.
happenings.
So-
Oh, by the way, I did get a link that I do need to post. PayPal apparently is now an awesome way to go and donate to all these different charities.
Oh, cool.
for one thing at a single time.
Yeah, because
So-
they're having a pretty rough time up there. And then
Yeah.
I was watching the nightly news the other night, and they were just talking about the, all these pig farms and stuff like that are just
Oh,
flooded
that's
out.
horrible.
And
Man,
now
I didn't
all
even think
this
about
all
that.
this pig
Yeah.
crap is just
Not
floating through the
good.
water,
Yeah.
and there's just the water in itself is so toxic right now, from
Wow.
street runoff
Yeah.
to pig crap
Arma here
to
last year
chicken
was
crap to
insane.
all these other stuff that it's just permeating through it. And then not to mention all the animals that are displaced. I mean, they're, it's like bayou-like. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not super swamp-like, but it's like, you've got snakes, you've got things that are cruising around, they're displaced and stuff like that,
Yep.
freaking out. So they've got some challenges.
Oh,
out
you know
there.
what I saw? Who was it? Someone from North Carolina. I want to say one of those guys that surfs super good from up there.
Benny B.
It could have been Benny B, or it could have been what's his name from Outer Banks. Any which way, there was like a picture of like what looked like some sort of grass carp that was in some pond, and it had like this giant circular bite out of like its whole abdomen or like the whole stomach area, and I'm like,
Whoa.
that's kind of creepy to have bitten out of a carp in a pond. And it's the kind of thing where you're like, oh, well, what the hell got into that pond when the water level was high?
And that's the thing, is like water levels high everywhere. So anything that would be swimming in that pond or that lake or that river or whatever is swimming everywhere else.
That's
you
right.
Right
know?
up to your front door.
Right, and then on top of it, the toxicity of the water.
Oh, that was like one of my favorite videos from one of those hurricanes. It was like a terrible flood, and just like watching some father and son. It was definitely in the south because they're sitting on the front porch fishing,
Yes.
Nice.
and like the little kid is bringing in like a 14-pound catfish like on like a Mighty Mouse fishing pole or something.
Yes.
And I'm like,
Making
this-
the best of it.
Yeah, it's like totally making the best of it. And it wasn't one of those the ones that they had the shark from New Smyrna that was fake or whatever. Like this was like
Somebody
real.
did a-
Would you
Did a video
would
of
you eat
that
that fish
in
at that
Sobe.
point? I mean, like
At that
considering
point,
what's
yeah,
going on in
yeah,
the water.
totally.
Hurricane catfish?
Yeah, I mean, it's not
I-
eating at that point. I think like 2 weeks after, I don't want to eat that catfish.
Right.
But like, he's probably a little stressed out, probably like a little more gamey, a little bit more not as tender because it's been freaking out during the hurricane, and then you just reeled it in. But screwdriver through the head,
Yeah.
make sure it's dead real fast so it doesn't get any adrenaline going through the flesh.
Email from PETA.
No,
Did
that's
you guys see the,
mainly you gotta kill
I
it.
know.
If you're gonna kill it fast. You don't want it dying slow.
You see the video of the
Bad
news
meat.
reporter that was like blowing in the wind, and then the guys
Yeah.
walk behind him.
So like this is the stuff. It's the best, but it's the worst.
It's good stuff.
Literally like it's so bad.
Fake news.
Yeah, like because you don't need to do that crap. You're a lifeguard.
Yeah,
You just
it's
talked about sharks
yeah.
very like logically. You talked about rescuing somebody.
Yeah.
You talked about CPR. Like it's very.
There's no
like, this-
fear-mongering, there's no
This is the way it
agenda or
is. Like
incentives.
this was terrible. This was good. This was how it is. This is how you can deal with it. You're not standing in like shark stew with
Right.
chum around you, telling people that there's sharks on South
Right.
Beach.
Yeah.
It's like, don't do it for the likes. You don't do it for the publicity. It's what it is. We do it for the likes and the publicity.
South Beach.
I think we're done.
Yeah,
I think we're done.
I think it's
Are we done?
nice.
Anything else?
It's great.
We wandered
It's
a
great.
little bit there. It was fun though. I think
Bring it back.
that's what happens when you write it.
I know.
When I write it, it's like we stay on point. Because I sleep better if I.
Can
think
we
about
show
it.
that writing, by the way? Because I have no idea what
That
the fuck
is some
that says.
serious
Yeah.
chicken scratch. That's not nice.
I've been meaning to keep these actually.
Oh, I've been wanting to do it. It'd be funny if we would. Oh, we should have like had a little booklet of it.
I know. I thought about it. I hoarded
Keegan, where are you?
too many stuff.
Our intern Keegan.
Keegan, yeah, where are you? Like studying? It's Friday. He probably has a spelling test
It's
tomorrow.
Thursday.
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 Yeah,
Yeah.
it's Friday tomorrow.
Yeah.
He's starting
spelling,
early.
spelling test tomorrow probably. At least that was when I had spelling tests.
They still spell?
I don't know. They probably have spelled.
There's like autocorrect on your phone.
Yeah, there's like it's a spell.
Right,
It's
yeah.
it's your spell
Yeah.
check
Kids
test.
these days are not learning.
Did you know how to like
anything.
right click and correct it perfectly?
Like also just writing on your phone or anything. Perfect.
I don't have to know anything. It's on my phone.
Right.
Fuck you. Yeah.
Right.
Actually, I've heard
pretty
about that
honest.
recently. I was talking to like a teacher friend in there, and I was like, "Yeah, so you guys must do that." And they're like, "No." I'm like, "What do you guys teach them
Yeah,
then?" And they're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
"I don't know. It's like Instagram mostly, I guess."
Yeah.
Like, that's good.
We teach them Instagram.
Yeah. No, they teach the teachers Instagram. The teachers just try to like maintain order and not get fired by the parents.
Pretty
That's
much.
pretty much what. Oh man, I'm
Walk
becoming
us out
so
here, Brian,
cynical.
because
I'm like nearing 40 and getting very cynical. Episode 35, September
I'm gonna get on my
20.
mic and,
You're getting like.
You gonna bust in a song?
you know.
Oh, this is getting like
close things out a
Something
little
new just
bit.
started right now.
Talk Story After Dark's getting started for reals here. Episode, like I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted by the next show going on.
Next up.
Next up,
Stay tuned.
stay tuned for Talk Story After Dark. This is episode 35. Today is September 20th. Thanks for joining us here from South Beach at First Shop. Oh, we forgot to tell you, subscribe, like our stuff, comment on our stuff, tell your friends.
Rate and review on iTunes.
Oh yeah, that we really like.
Yeah.
And on
Has anybody done that? I haven't looked.
I did once.
So
And
did I.
I don't think it worked when I did it.
Oh.
No, but you can do it, and they won't believe that it's fake because it's coming from you and not the person who actually
Yeah,
posted it.
that looks
Help
a
us
little
out.
sketchy. If
Can we get a group beep?